Nasheed himself was attacked and injured. The situation is rapidly escalating. And yesterday, the violence spread across the Maldives, and we saw police stations being burned to the ground in islands across the Maldives, along with courts and council offices.
There are also reports that Nasheed's wife and daughter have gone to Sri Lanka. That they have actually left Maldives and gone to Sri Lanka.
Haven't received any confirmation on that from our end. The arrest warrant so far has only been issued for the President and the former Defence Minister. We're yet to try and clarify what the charges may be, but it appears to have been issued by the judge of the criminal court, who Nasheed himself had detained a week ago.
It really seems like Maldives' little experiment, as it were, with democracy has gone sour. Of course, Nasheed was the first democratically elected president, but now with this coup and with all sorts of allegations flying back and forth, Nasheed did make that in an interview, did say he wanted elections, but that doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
No, it doesn't at this stage. There's a lot of questions being asked about who is actually in charge of the police and the military. The precedent that's being set is that, in a democracy that's barely 3 years old, the precedent that has been set is that the security services can change the government whenever they feel like it. The situation is rapidly escalating. There's widespread rumblings of disconcern and upset among the general population, people who are not normally politically engaged, and it is highly likely that there's going to be many more protests in Male. At the moment, there's a storm hit this morning, and it's been raining a bit, so the streets have been quite quiet. But I imagine with the arrest of Nasheed, things are going to look like yesterday.
And what has the role been of the vice president, who's now the president of the Maldives? Nasheed speaking out against him as well. Did he actually have some sort of understanding with the opposition? That is a big question. The vice president yesterday in a press conference told local and foreign journalists that the events of Tuesday were completely spontaneous and there was no planning involved. However, on the early morning on January 31st, local media here widely reported a meeting the vice president at the time held with senior opposition people, including Gayoom's party, the Progressive Party of the Maldives, or PPM. The deputy leader of PPM came out of his vice president's house and promptly announced that the vice president should assume control of the government, that the opposition was willing to back the vice president, to swear its allegiance to him, and asked police and the military to obey the orders of the vice president. That was on January 31st, and a week later, we'll see what happened. Right now, of course, we've also heard that Robert Blake, the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asia, is going to be there in Male to take a look at the situation.
Yes, I understand he's due to arrive on Saturday. The UK High Commission from Colombo is here in force, helping British nationals. They have a presence at the airport. So far, none of this has affected the tourism industry. There are resorts have been unaffected. This has only been occurring on local islands across the country, inhabited islands, and has not affected resorts. And the airport so far remains calm. So it's very possible that tourists arriving could have no idea of what's going on in the Maldives.
Right, J. Robinson, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. Mr. Robinson, they're telling us that tourists are still arriving there in the Maldives without any idea of the unrest that's going on ever since the former president was forced to resign. He was forced to step down. He said he was forced at gunpoint, in fact. And now news coming in that his arrest has been ordered by the very same judge who he sacked, that in a sense sparked this entire crisis. Maya Mishandani now joins us on the phone line for more. Maya, of course, when news came of Nasheed stepping down and handing over power to the vice president, the Indian government was quick to react and said that they would engage with the government of the Maldives.
Well, absolutely, Gargi, and I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One, of course, the sense that India is aware of the situation, the politically tense situation that Mohammed Nasheed has been facing in the Maldives for some time. The second is that they were under the impression, or certainly an impression was being created by the various parties in the Maldives, that this was going to be part of a brokered arrangement